All right, folks. Now, with organic hypnosis, we're tapping into something so fundamental. Clients don't even really know we're doing it. And what's cool is that you're working in a way that's 100% authentic. There's not a whole lot of covertness involved in our change work process. It's really not about fumbling through a script to try to match that presenting problem or asking myself, okay, I'm a practitioner, I got a client coming in, and what's the best technique to use to help this person or maybe force this person into a trance? We just don't care about any of that stuff. Ultimately, what we're doing is we're working with that client's natural unconscious intelligence in such a way that, first off, we've just recognized that client has an internal world. They have their own beliefs, their fears, their actual motivations, their real motivations inside that ripe, rich, eternal reality, that right terrain. And as a hypnotherapist, I don't want to force that person to draw a new map. I'd like to help them read their own. And just through them doing that, just through them understanding it better, their awareness expands, their understanding shifts, and they tap into new resources. And often this is the first time they really understood these elements of themselves. And so I'm going to go through 5 very specific things we're going to be doing in the training. We're going to be doing a lot more, but I want to unpack it for you so that you have an opportunity to understand what you're getting into here, as it's thrilling. It's just incredible. And beyond the training, you're going to have an amazing community of hypnotherapists you're going to get to learn this skill with. I have some of the best and the brightest in the world in my program, and we're lucky to have them. It's really amazing. So the first thing I want to talk about is one differentiator. We have client-led discovery versus practitioner-driven solutions. And from time to time, you're going to see my eyes darting all over the place because I've got my notes right in front of me. Okay, so instead of the hypnotist fixing or imposing solutions, organic hypnosis acts as a trail guide, creating the space for that client to discover their own answers and inherent wisdom. The emphasis is on the client becoming internally directed, almost like the amnesia wears off of all those external influences. And I'm not going to give them a bunch of external instructions. If those worked, if those really got them where they needed to be, my God, they probably wouldn't have the problem anymore. They probably looked up dozens of articles, watched a bunch of TikToks, YouTube videos, and here they are. They still got the problem. They probably listened to some amazing people in whatever industry trying to prescribe it to them. My hunch is, and what differentiates this approach is that we believe it's all inside that client. It's all inside them. The problem, the solution, and everything in between and everything beyond. We just want to help them tap into that very quickly. This contrasts quite heavily with a more traditional approach because that practitioner might be there leading with the specific techniques, predetermined suggestions, and it'd be following a rigid script or protocol to help solve that client's problem. Yeah, we're not going to be doing any of that. We're working in a way that's 100% organic, raw, and dynamic in the moment. So the second thing I want to highlight here, just it's a bit more tactical, but I think it helps illustrate the first point. We're embracing wrong assumptions and unconscious communication versus seeking the right answer. So let's unpack this. Organic hypnosis strategically uses wrong assumptions and getting things wrong. That's so clever. It's such a fun way to work with people. So you've heard me do this in sessions. I might ask somebody, is the most important thing for you when it comes to quitting smoking? Is it money? Is money really the most important thing? And it looks like I'm taking this wild stab in the dark, and some other approaches might say, you really had an insight and I just had to ask that question because I felt like I was right. I don't care if I'm right. It does not matter, because what matters is I want to give that client, almost like I'm extending an invitation for their unconscious to correct me, for them to reveal their true motivations, and perhaps more importantly, all that emotional energy that's pent up. You know, when you say the wrong thing to a client, it gives them an opportunity to go, no, that's not it. What's he talking about? It's this. And when then it's the way they say it, it's this. That's a beautiful thing there. Now we've got some real resources available to help that client very quickly. And in my approach, we're prioritizing observing all forms of communication, not just language, what they're saying. We're talking about body language, tone, probably most importantly, what's not said. I'm teaching you a way to evaluate that as well. And this isn't an overly intellectual process because we're not really seeking the right question or the right response. And you will see this contrast heavily with a more traditional approach where they're going to be focused on asking a carefully worded right question or avoiding perceived mistakes, prioritizing logical verbal responses. I don't care about any of that. We're working in a way that's almost entirely intuitive and instinctive. And you got to look at some of the responses from my students. It'll really speak volumes about this. It's absolutely incredible. I teach people all kinds of wild stuff when it comes to this, and it's the most fun you can have. Like, there's no more shackles and chains in a session. You're no longer pinned down to some prescribed approach. None of it. You're just allowed to be free and to authentically connect with the human being in front of you, because it's that human-to-human thing that's really making this thing cook. Let's hop into number 3 here. We have the power of stillness and space versus constant intervention. So Organic Hypnosis champions intentional space and stillness as critical tools for change. The practitioner trusts the client's unconscious process to emerge organically during pauses. We refer to this as organic fractionation or natural fractionation. We just allow it to occur. And any type of a discomfort or internal fluster in the practitioner, in you as the practitioner, is seen as a signal to slow down and observe. We call this the CAVE concept. It's an acronym. I'll go into that in another video. Whereas what you'll see often in a more traditional approach, there's a focus on constantly engaging, feeling science, or, okay, what technique should I apply in this situation? How do I control or keep the trance going? None of that matters in organic hypnosis. It's the least important thing we think about. Really, that discomfort you may feel in a session when things slow down, or let's just say something wild happens, because we're working with real human beings and we're not asking them to cross a bridge to come to our modality. We're working with the person right in front of us, so wild things can unfold. I teach you those self-regulation techniques in a way to stay very calm and steady during a session. So when wild things happen, or maybe something that scares you, that's seen as an opportunity because you understand that it's important. You go, wow, that's really cool. I can't wait to explore that with the person in front of me, because you're so close to getting that breakthrough. So we're operating in a way that's completely different and counter to a lot of traditional approaches. So you're not going to feel that pressure to constantly engage. And if you do, you understand that this is actually what I need to slow down. I need to observe more, because I'm trying to understand things in such a way that I'm trying to create an answer. I don't have the answer, they do. That client's unconscious mind does, and the more I slow down, the more it will reveal itself organically during a session. On to number 4 here, relationship-centric and authentic presence versus technique-driven hypnosis. So organic hypnosis emphasizes genuine human connection and the practitioner's authentic presence, talking like a person. You'll often hear me talk about staring in the stream and seeing your reflection staring back, or being the mirror. It views the practitioner's own inner reality, and regulation is foundational, recognizing that trying to control the process almost always limits what can happen. Control is an illusion. The only thing you can really control is yourself. I'm going to teach you how to do that at the highest level. And I want to contrast that with a more traditional approach. The emphasis might be more on skillful application of very specific hypnotic language techniques, language patterns, covert suggestions, potentially creating a less authentic interaction. This is something you're just going to feel, and you're going to know, and you're just going to sit there and have fun marveling as all this amazingness in front of you unfolds. You get to be along for the ride and just marvel at the mystery of the whole thing. It's an incredible place to be when you get to work with people that way. And number 5 here, transformational empowerment, the warrior ethos versus threshold nudging. This is another very key differentiator. Organic hypnosis isn't concerned if the client is at threshold or at a specific state of readiness. It meets them exactly where they are. The goal is to build inner warriors capable of profound self-discovery, and they do that by taking responsibility for their lives. It's not just to give them a final push over the edge. Hey, they're almost ready to quit smoking, and I have a checklist of things, and they satisfied that criteria. So now I feel like I can take them on as a client, and I can just gently push them over the edge to being a non-smoker. I don't care about any of that. The problem is just a catalyst for deeper understanding and an opportunity to help that client create resilience. I want that client to leave the session, and let's just say it stops smoking. I want them, once we go through the integration process, post-session is the most important part of the work. I want them empowered. I want them warriors ready to tackle any challenge. It's quitting smoking. They're coming in for that, but they're walking out of there a completely different person, ready to tackle anything. And this is such a different place to be when you're a client, or even as a practitioner, because it's not about, oh, I hope it worked. We don't care about that. That's irrelevant. I want warriors leaving our office, ready to tackle anything. So it doesn't really matter if they have a challenge or a thing, if it's the wrong time to quit smoking. None of that matters. It's all just feedback and an opportunity to learn about that individual more and empower them in such a way that they'll be able to tackle any. Whereas a more traditional approach may focus on clients who are ready, who are at threshold. And from my experience, readiness is a lie. It's a lie. And if you have any training, you probably know how to motivate people anyway. So to think that you would take them out of the running to have an opportunity to work with you, it doesn't make sense. You probably have all kinds of cool motivational interviewing skills. I'll teach you how to do it in a way that's super easy and very organic and authentic. So going back to this note here, though, they may focus on clients who are ready or at threshold, where the practitioner's role is to provide the specific intervention that helps them get across the finish line for a particular habit. None of that matters. We're tapping into something so powerful and so enriching. You're going to love it. August, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're doing 3 Saturdays, 4 hours each day. I do it this way so that folks that are working jobs and transitioning to a new career have plenty of time now to get babysitters if they're needed or whatever they need to do to get things arranged. And it's a weekend day, so if you're working a 40-hour-a-week job, you should be able to get the time off to really enhance your skills. And this is something you can apply at your job anyway. You'll probably get promoted there because you're really developing your ability to observe people and understand people in a really profound way, in a way that makes influence very easy. So that's it for now, folks. I'll catch you on the next video. Until the next one, be love.